At the end of the day, 12 drivers will be competing in this season's playoff system, the NRSL Winston SuperSpeedway Series Chase for the championship. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome here as we prepare for race number 10, the final race of the regular season, getting ready to set the field towards the postseason and the battling for the championship. We are getting set to go racing here for 18 laps at PiggzCreek SuperSpeedway. This is a track that we haven't really been to in quite a long time. It's nice to be back here, a track that can hold them 5 wide, 6 wide, sometimes 7 wide, and here's the kicker, they can hold it. This is maybe one of the most widest racetracks for superspeedways on the circuit, and these drivers are going to use every inch of this racetrack to try and get themselves just a little bit closer to the front. With our system that we have here of who can make the playoffs and who can't, every position on track could be crucial. Now, if you're just joining us, this is how it goes down. Basically, at the end of the day, whoever is inside the top 10 in the point standings, they're moving on into the playoff system along with 2 wildcard drivers. Those are the drivers that are outside of the top 10 in points that have a win. Let's try and set the field real quickly for you here before we get the command. Right now, the drivers that coming into this race would make it in via top 10 in points if we were to start the postseason now would include J Fitzwater, Steve Morgan, Ashlyn Boyd, Preston Plourd, Zach Rogers, Eli Bright, Johnny Gardner, J Carmichael, Joseph Srigley, and Emmanuel Hartnett. Now, right now, the 2 wildcard spots would belong to Dallas McIntosh, who has a win and is 20th in points, and Levi McIntyre, who is 24th in points with a victory. That could all change here today in terms of the wildcard spot. Anybody that is ahead of McIntosh or McIntyre that get a win here today, they automatically jump up into wildcard spots 1 or 2. We also have a big battle of drivers that have an opportunity to get inside the top 10 in the point standings here today. We'll cover that in just a moment. Let's go down track side, get those most famous words in motorsports.
Drivers, start your engines.
So just to give you a little bit of an idea, Emmanuel Hartnett 10th in the points. He's basically the cutoff line driver currently at this point in time. Let's take a look at some of the guys that are behind him in the point standings. Only 2 points back in 11th and 12th are Alex Gray and Patrick Smith, and Gray is rolling off from the 3rd position in today's race. Then not too far back, 7 points back, you've got Justin Zajdel. 9 points back, you've got Austin LaPlante. 14 points back, Dylan Young. 17 points back, Z Winkle. It still is so close between drivers from pretty much 6th place on down through about the 15th position. Drivers that can move in, drivers that could fall out of the top 10 in points. It is not written in stone yet. 2 drivers come into this race completely confirmed locked into the playoffs. They are J Fitzwater and Steve Morgan, both of them with almost an 80-point advantage over 10th in the point standings, so there is no way they are going to fall out of the top 10 in points. They will make it into the playoffs. A couple of other drivers that are possibilities that will definitely make it in would include Ashlyn Boyd, Preston Plourd, and Zach Rogers. We're going to have to see during the course of this race, though, if that might change. The reason that Rogers would basically be locked in, he's got 2 wins, so even if he fell outside of the top 10 in the point standings, those 2 wins would keep him locked in to wildcard spot number 1. Preston Plourd, of course, going to victory lane in our last race at Armory Digital Super Speedway, so that may have locked him in. And Ashlyn Boyd, as I've mentioned the last couple of weeks, been maybe one of the most consistent drivers this season, aside from Fitzwater and Morgan, making a clear case for himself to make it into the playoffs as well. But what about Eli Bright, Johnny Gardner, J Carmichael, Joseph Srigley, and Emmanuel Hartnett? Can they follow up and be able to keep themselves locked into the top 10 in the points? Coming down to the start-finish line, we're getting set here. J Richardson on the inside. And on the outside, the 12 of I Nicholls. And the green flag is in the air. We're underway at PiggzCreek. Charles Sandfer got himself a good timing of that green flag. Tried jumping to the outside. Shane Lake moving up there to try and help him, and they're already 4 wide entering into the corner. Make that 5 wide, and you're going to see this during the course of this entire event. But you notice that at 5 wide, the 4 wide, there's a lot of space in between these race cars, being able to give each other a lot of room. So I'm expecting this race to more than likely go caution-free, unless these drivers start getting a little too aggressive. also with the space that there is at this racetrack and so many lines moving on the back and front straightaways, James Richardson and whoever ends up inheriting the race lead definitely going to have a tough time blocking lanes of whichever line gets the momentum. It looks like the inside line with Dallas McIntosh tries to cross over to the inside. He's going to try and take the top spot. Of course, McIntosh trying to make a case for himself to get one of the wild card positions. We'll be keeping tabs as well on Levi McIntyre in the 99. What they're hoping, the 36 and the 99, is that someone goes to victory lane that's already inside the top 10 in the point standings. Especially McIntyre. Look at that 5 wide, about 3, 4, 5 rows deep. As battle for the lead is on, that's the 21 way down low of Nathan Stapleton. He's got Zach Winkle right behind him. Winkle is in the hunt mathematically of trying to race his way into the top 10 in the point standings. And I mean, there are so many drivers that have an opportunity with a trip to victory lane in this one that could easily jump up into the wild card battle. Drivers like Winkle, Cole, Richardson, Flickinger, Kyle Keith, Angel Navarro, William Brock, Nathan Stapleton, James Shelly. They've all got a shot, if they go to victory lane, of still being able to kind of pull off a last-minute miracle to make it into the playoffs. You've also got a couple of drivers that are former winners this season that are outside the top 30 in the points that need to get into the top 30 for their win to count towards a wild card spot. Most particularly, Diego Yepez and Benjamin Mills. They are 33rd and 34th in the points, but if they can go to victory lane for a second time, oh my goodness, what's going on back here? They're going to go down pit road. Oh, they're wrecking. Oh my goodness, a big wreck. One of those drivers was Patrick Smith. I can't tell who the other one is. Looks like that might be the 96. It is the 96 of Alexander Rowe. Upside down. The caution will definitely fly. Dylan Young was involved. So too was the 22 of Tony Green. Brenna Carmichael is also collected up in this. And also the 6 of Zach Flickinger. And I believe the leaders have already taken the caution. And is that Levi McIntyre? It is. The 99 was also collected. One of the current wild card position holders. Patrick Smith had a shot of racing his way into the top 10. Brenna Carmichael was in the top 10 and now could fall out. And a big wreck there. I don't know what exactly was going on, but they were literally leaning on each other, and I thought there were 3 cars that were going to go down pit road. I don't know if maybe one hit the pit wall and shot back up into traffic or what, but it was a big wreck here at PiggzCreek about 1/6 of the way through today's event. Nathan Stapleton out in front. So it looks like he would more than likely be the one that leads us back to the green flag, unless these drivers cannot make it the full 18 scheduled laps on fuel and will have to come to pit road when the pits are open this next time around. Zach Winkle, Dallas McIntosh, J Jefferson, and Michael Norman, the top 5 currently. But the 2 drivers that this is definitely going to put a bit of a question mark on, first would be Brenna Carmichael, who came into this race only 12 points ahead of the 10th in the standings cut line, and of course Levi McIntyre, who started off the season with a trip to victory lane at Daytona, has fallen like a rock the last couple of weeks and now finds himself of maybe not even having a wild card position in the playoffs. Got some drivers coming to pit road. I see Zach Rogers, Seth Cole, they're already hitting the pit lane along with Diego Yepez in the 1. Angel Navarro is in, Eli Bright, Ryan Brommer. There's Steve Morgan second in points, along with third in points Ashlyn Boyd, Ace Garcia, and there is McIntyre, Smith, and Flickinger. Smith, who had a shot of racing his way into the top 10 in the point standings. This may be an all she wrote for the 98 team. We'll follow him as he makes his way down to his pit stall. Let's see if they're going to just try and get that car repaired. And it looks like they're going to try and get him back out there, salvage what he can. But as Stapleton leads us under caution, let's see what brought out this yellow flag. This has to be, without a doubt, the longest wreck I have ever seen in my entire life. Watch this. You got Smith, Dylan Young, Austin LaPlante, all there in the middle, side by side, not giving room. This is just through the middle of turn 4, rather. And watch right here. Patrick Smith up into Dylan Young. Now look at this. This is literally, he is literally facing about probably a 25-degree angle from straight through this entire turn. There's also contact right there between Justin Zajdel and the 43 of Shane Lake. But look at this. He's still sideways, still sideways, still sideways. They're coming to the exit of 4. He is still sideways. How is the 98 not hooked up into the 2 and then going up into the outside wall? That is amazing wheel work by Patrick Smith trying to keep the thing straight. Finally, as they come off the corner, you see they're all kind of hooked together, the 50, the 2, and the 98. It's going to send them down towards the bottom of the racetrack. And like I said, I saw in the back, it looked like some drivers were headed down towards pit road. And that's exactly what the case was here, as all 3 of them were literally leaning on each other. And we're going to see right here, does the 98 indeed hit the pit wall? Or if not, what happens here? Okay, again, he turns it to the right. And I think maybe now it's finally going to hook off of the 2. No, it just drives him back up into traffic. Nowhere for Tony Green to go. Charles Sandfer got a piece of that. Alexander Rowe, way up in the air. Almost nose grinding on the front straightaway here. Sandfer kind of got away with one there. There's Levi McIntyre, nowhere to go. There's Zach Flickinger in the 6 back there collected. And look at the wild ride that Alexander Rowe and Patrick Smith both take. Nice avoidance there by Joshua Ciculli in the 31. There's where Brenna Carmichael gets a piece of it with the left front, getting into Zach Flickinger's 6. And the 98 comes down on top of the undercarriage of the 96. It just kind of goes for a ride, courtesy of the Caterpillar Chevrolet of Alexander Rowe. I'll tell you one driver that definitely did a heck of a job missing this wreck, that also is kind of in the battle of trying to make it into the playoffs, and that's Joseph Srigley in the 77. That wreck took place right in front of him, and somehow he was able to avoid. So nice job by Srigley to keep his playoff hopes alive, but a wild ride could very well be ending the playoff hopes of drivers such as Patrick Smith and Levi McIntyre. The lights are out atop the pace car. We'll go back green on lap 7 of 18, giving us 12 laps remaining in this event. Only one driver at this point is officially retired, and now the other 2 have officially retired as well. Up to this point, it was only Tony Green who had officially announced his exit from the event. Now Alexander Rowe and Dylan Young have done the same. So at least 3 cars out of the race due to this wreck. A lot of damaged goods at the rear of the field. You see Zach Flickinger trying to continue. Patrick Smith wants to try and keep his playoff hopes alive, race his way into the top 10 in points, but he's going to need a lot more drivers that are running well in the standings to struggle here today as well. There's Levi McIntyre trying to keep himself in the wild card hunt. I mean, right now he still is in there if he can stay in the top 30 in points, and if a driver in the top 10 in the standings goes to victory lane in this one. But a lot of things going to have to go his way during the course of the remainder of this race. Meanwhile, Nathan Stapleton out in front. He will bring us back down for the green flag as we'll get back underway here at PiggzCreek. And there's the green flag out. This track almost kind of similar to Talladega in the fact that the start-finish line is closer to turn 1 than it is to the center of the front straightaway. Now with a single file restart, it's going to take these guys a little bit longer to get back to the 4-wide, 5-wide formation we saw at the start, but rest assured, they are probably going to get back to that formation sooner than you think. Already 3-wide back there, McIntosh, Richardson, and Zoerlein. That's a battle for the 6th position. As J Jefferson moves to 2nd, Michael Norman trying to get to the inside for that position, heading down to 3. He's got help from James Shelly, Jonathan Zoerlein. It looks like that was Phil Parker down there on the inside line in the 71 as well. Now Norman switches to the middle groove, as does Shelly. Zoerlein stays low. And now even further low comes Phil Parker along with Zachary Fitzwater in the 9. One of 2 drivers that come into this race completely worry-free of making it into the playoffs, knowing he's going to make it no matter what. The other one, of course, being Steve Morgan. Fitzwater now just trying to go for that victory. He's been so close so many times this season, but has not been able to find victory lane. Maybe here today he could do it with the pressure completely off. Tim Walch now down to the inside, and they are 4 wide, 5 wide up at the front again. A couple of drivers we haven't seen up at the front yet that kind of surprises me. Some drivers that are trying to keep themselves in the top 10 in the point standings. One of them is J Gardner, another one Emmanuel Hartnett, and also Preston Plourd, Eli Bright. Although we saw Eli Bright came to pit road under that caution. They're 3 wide for the lead. LaPlante on the bottom. Shane Lake in the middle. Tim Walch up top side. Charles Sandfer got a piece of the wreck on the front straightaway, but that does not appear to have affected him. There you see the 35 down third on that inside line. Joshua Ciculli and Joseph Srigley, the 77 and the 31, made evasive maneuvers to avoid the big wreck, and they're now up here inside the top 10 as well. And Emmanuel Hartnett has now made his way up into the top 10. There he is in the middle between Shane Lake and Joshua Ciculli, that number 33 Skoll Chevrolet. Also mentioned a couple of drivers that are struggling in the points but found victory lane this season. They're right now in the middle lines, side by side. The 4 of Benjamin Miles, who went to victory lane at M&M's. The 1 of Diego Yepez, who went to victory lane at Hillside. And last week's winner from Armory, Preston Plourd, to the inside of both of them, trying to pick up a couple of spots before hitting the back straightaway. As we have a new race leader, Charles Sandfer now takes command of the top spot. Last week, Preston Plourd's victory was the first win this season by a Pontiac Grand Prix driver. Charles Sandfer would like to make it back-to-back. The only problem for Charles Sandfer is I think even if he found victory lane, he's too far back in the point standings to have the win count towards a spot in the playoffs. He currently sits 36th in the point standings, and he is roughly about 18 points behind that 30th in the standings cut line. And the caution flag is out again. Second time today, and the field is definitely split up back there, so we've had a wreck and a drag race between LaPlante, Gray, and Sandfer to the line. Who is going to get it? Sandfer's barely going to get it by a splitter. Wow. What if that had been the finish? But now, with every caution we get, it kind of throws our whole playoff scenario out of whack, and we're going to have to see if some of the drivers we highlighted before this race began, if they got involved in this, our second yellow flag. Flickinger's off the pace. I don't think he was involved. Same for McIntyre or Smith. But Michael Norman, I believe, was involved. A lot of right side damage on the number 3. J Gardner appears to have been involved. That's a driver that came into this race 7th in points. Tim Walch has got damage, along with J Jefferson in the 55. And I think I see some damage on 3rd in the standings, Ashlyn Boyd's number 16. If you look here, I think you can see some pretty visible right side damage on the Prime Star Ford Taurus. Yes, indeed. Nathan Stapleton, who was up near the front when we went back green on our last restart, appears to have gotten involved, and maybe some contact as well for Dallas McIntosh in the 28, who comes into this race in the first wildcard position, as well as the points leader coming into this race, Zachary Fitzwater. Seth Cole may have also been involved in the 44. Pits will be open this time. Let's take the opportunity to go back, take a look at a replay of what put us under the caution for the second time here today at PiggzCreek. Alright, let's take a look and see what happened. I think it starts with Michael Norman in the 3. 5 wide here. He's got J Jefferson to the inside, Tim Walch to the outside. This is going down the back straightaway, and it looks like... Oh, look at the 42 of Kyle Keith. I think he kind of triggered this wreck, ran J Jefferson out of room. Jefferson tried moving up, got into Norman, who then got into Tim Walch. Kyle Keith got a little damage with the wall with the right front, little contact right there as well for James Richardson. And J Gardner and Seth Cole. Wow. Nice avoidance there. So it was literally almost a single car spin that brought out the caution. I saw that the 16 of Ashlyn Boyd had damage on the right side prior to that. So maybe an incident on pit road gave that damage to the 16. But nice piece of driving there, especially by J Gardner. He lost a lot of track position, obviously, slowing up to avoid the spinning 3. But kept the car in one piece, and that may keep his playoff hopes alive. Michael Norman, though, Nice job of keeping that car from spinning too much as well. And amazingly, practically a single car spin is what puts us under the caution for the second time here today. We have two more drivers that have pulled back behind the wall. Kyle Keith is one of them, so I didn't think that contact he had with the wall with the right front was really that significant, but apparently it was. So he has called it a day, and Zach Flickinger, who was out there under the last green flag run with a crunched up hood, they have finally called him back to the garage. He'll finish in 38th position. Now you notice Levi McIntyre still forging on there in the 37th position. Now he currently is probably Charles Sandfer's biggest fan right now. He wants Sandfer to go to victory lane. Why? Because Sandfer is outside the top 30 in the points, and if he goes to victory lane, it would not affect Levi McIntyre in terms of a wild card position. Now for McIntyre, though, he has to still keep himself in the top 30 in points. If he doesn't, then right at this current point in time, it looks like the next driver that would get his wild card spot would be the driver running highest in the points outside of the top 10 without a victory. And right now, that would be the 90 of Alex Gray coming into this race. So if McIntyre does not stay in the top 30 in points by the time we finish out this race, it's going to be a very interesting battle amongst non-winners outside the top 30 in the point or top 10 in the point stands, I should say, as to who's going to get that final wild card position. Charles Sandfer will be the leader when we go back green, as we did have some drivers hit pit road under that last caution, including the driver that was running second at the time, Alex Gray. And it looks like we've got another car coming to pit road. That's Joseph Srigley in the 77, who came into this race 9th in points. So it's Sandfer, Diego Yepez, and then Steve Morgan, Shane Lake, and Angel Navarro as we go back green flag racing here at PiggzCreek. It'll be 5 laps to go. And something going on with Michael Norman. McIntyre hit pit road. Srigley's on pit road. And I'm kind of questioning that. Are cars out of fuel? Phil Parker is slow. I think we got some drivers running out of fuel. I think Phil Parker is out of fuel. And I think that might have been why Srigley had to come to pit road. Oh my goodness. Michael Norman is still not going. He is slow. Are we going to throw a caution for that? Srigley certainly hopes so. Norman's still sitting there in the middle of the track. Diego Yepez is the race leader. Where is Norman at? I think Norman's in turn 4. Oh, please teleport. Oh, please teleport. He's still sitting there. He's still sitting there. They're still not throwing a caution. Why? Oh, no. Oh, no. Right in the racing line. Look out, leaders. Oh, please teleport. Oh, he did. Oh, thank heavens. Srigley coming back off of pit lane, and now caution is out. Caution is waving as Yepez hits pit road. Now, I don't know what the caution came out for. I don't think it was for Michael Norman, but the yellow flag is out, and that's a big break for the 77 of Joseph Srigley. But I don't know, will that end this race under caution, or will we get a one-lap shootout? We might be lucky and get a one-lap shootout. I'm not certain. What brought out the caution? Was it because of the 71 of Parker? Oh, Sandfer. A lot of damage on the 35. And I wonder if he got run over after running out of fuel. And look at this. We got more drivers on pit road there with damage. Shane Lake, Justin Zajdel, and Johnny Gardner. Another driver that was trying to make his way into the playoffs. Oh, boy. Fitzwater, who had been on pit road at the same time, I believe, as the 77 of Srigley. This is a big break for him, and it turns the race lead over to Steve Morgan, our winner from Talladega. So now we got to find out if we're going to be able to even get back to green flag racing. I think we're going to get a one-lap shootout. I think we've got it set for that, but we are going to have to see what brought out this caution, because it has now, this third caution has definitely played a factor into what the postseason drivers are going to look like. At this point, Charles Sandfer had run out of fuel. Everybody splitting him on the inside and outside. He's going to try and make his way down to the bottom of the racetrack here to be able to come to pit road. This was in, I believe, turns 3 and 4. And William Brock doesn't give him a lane. He then moves up in reaction, and there's nowhere for Justin Zajdel to go. J Jefferson gets a piece along with the 98 of Patrick Smith. That's a pretty hard hit there for the 35. Tim Walsh, I think, might have gotten a piece of Zajdel. And then Sandfer sliding down the track. I don't know if he's going to get hit again. I guess not. Where did Gardner get involved then? Okay, there's Gardner. Where did he get his damage from? Looks like he is... Oh, there's problems up ahead. Oh, contact between teammates. Shane Lake and Seth Cole. And they come right back up the racetrack and collect William Brock and Johnny Gardner. I think Shane Lake was trying to come to pit road. Seth Cole was not. Oh, and James Shelly's going to get involved as well there in the 23. And Shane Lake had a car to his inside in the 44 and could not get down to that commitment cone. And the 44 was planning on staying out. Wow, Hartnett just barely gets through. Tim Walsh just barely going to make it through. But it's like some miscommunication there between a couple of teammates. And now Seth Cole and Shane Lake find themselves with damaged goods. And Johnny Gardner, did he hit the pit wall as well? Yes, he did. Car went sliding, and I guess because the caution came out, he wanted to actually not come to pit road. But with that damage, he couldn't get the car to turn to the right far enough, and he ran into the entrance of the pit road wall. And why is this so important? Because Gardner came into this race 7th in the points, only 14 points ahead of the cut line. And now, his hopes of making it into the playoffs could be hanging by a thread. And unfortunately, this race is going to end under yellow flag conditions. But how about this? Zach Rogers, this is the second fuel mileage race that he's going to be going to victory lane in. You think back to Bermuda. That was a fuel mileage race that he won, his second trip to victory lane, and he's going to go to victory lane here today for an unprecedented third time this season. How about that? Right in front of his Hendrick Motorsports teammate Ace Garcia. Brenna Carmichael's going to get third. That is quite a comeback for the 73, who got involved in our first caution of the day, and he is somehow going to finish on the podium. And that's going to keep him inside the top 10 in the points, which will allow Brenna to be able to battle for the championship this season, along with Zach Rogers. But as far as where everybody else is going to be, I don't know. We know Fitzwater will be in. We know Morgan will be in. Rogers, obviously, is going to be in because of this third win and coming into this race 5th in the points standings. But what about other drivers like Gardner? Where is that wreck that he was involved? Where's that going to situate him? Hartnett, Srigley, Eli Bright, Alex Gray. I mean, where are these guys going to be? You got Austin LaPlante finishing 5th here today. Number of drivers ahead of him in the points had problems in this race. Same for Zach Winkle. Will they be able to just barely squeak their way into the top 10 in points with the top 10 runs they're going to get here today? Don't know. We're going to have to wait and find out. But Zach Rogers, what a season it has been. And for the second time this season, he will win on fuel strategy. It's a Hendrick 1-2. Rogers, his third win of the season, comes here today at PiggzCreek Superspeedway. I think you could very well be looking at the favorite heading into the playoffs, at number 24. Standings should be official. I believe the entire field, or what's left of, is crossed the line. No, not yet. Still waiting for the official word, but as I am looking down through the results, I think that very likely Alex Gray, who came in 11th in the points, he finished this race in 13th. I think he may have just made his way into the playoffs, replacing Johnny Gardner. Eli Bright finished in 24th. Don't know if LaPlante was close enough to pass him in the point stands. Let's see. Bright was about 24 points ahead of LaPlante. So with him finishing 24th, LaPlante would have had to win the race. So right now, Eli Bright would still be in the top 10 in points. Brenna Carmichael is still in. What about Joseph Srigley? 21st. And he was... I'm trying to do the calculations in my head. He was 17 points ahead of LaPlante. He finished in 21st. LaPlante would have had to have finished 4th or better. He did not, so Srigley may have just barely stayed in. So if I'm correct in my assumption... Although, wait a minute, where did Emmanuel Hartnett finish? Hartnett finished way back. Oh, boy. Hartnett finished out of the race in 34th. And he was only 9 points ahead of LaPlante. So if my calculations are correct, I think we had 2 positions swap as far as the playoff positions go. I believe Gray moved in, Gardner fell out, and I believe that Hartnett fell out and LaPlante may have very well moved in. Now, what about the wild card positions right now? With Rogers going to victory lane, it now comes down between drivers with 1 win outside the top 10 in the points. Dallas McIntosh is going to finish this race in 26th. I think that's still enough for him to clinch a wild card position. But what about Levi McIntyre? McIntyre is going to finish this race in the 33rd position. The question is that enough for him to stay inside the top 30 in the point standings? He came into this race only 10 points ahead of the 30th in the standings cut line. Was that enough to keep him in the top 30 in the points for him to get the second wildcard spot? If it wasn't, the likelihood is that second wildcard position could very well go to either Johnny Gardner, Emmanuel Hartnett, or possibly Zach Winkle in the 97. But we're going to have to wait for the official word when we get the official point standings after this race. But Zach Rogers will undoubtedly be in the number 1 seed when the playoffs are put together, the playoffs grid, with his 3rd win of the season. Hope you guys enjoyed today's race from PiggzCreek. If you did, be sure to give us a like, subscribe, and become part of the crew today. That does it for the regular season. We've shown your full feature results. These are your point standings and your reformatted playoff points, your chase points, as we begin a 5-race postseason to find out who's going to be the champion of the inaugural season of the NRSL Winston SuperSpeedway Series. Till then, I've been Seth Cole. You've been watching a production of the SRA Offline Racing at its best.